Hey there, guitar thinkers. Let's go over a really great chord progression, Autumn Leaves. Here we can see some nice sounding open shapes, meaning we've got open strings in most of these shapes. And I think that there's some lessons in here as far as how a chord progression is constructed typically, how a chord progression can move, especially a jazz style chord progression. And the hot tip is a lot of times chord progressions, and especially jazz chord progressions, move in fourths, meaning from A to D, this A note to this D note is a fourth. If we were to count up the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, from 1 to 4, that's a major fourth interval. So from A to D is a fourth. From D to G is a fourth. From G to C is a fourth. That this movement, kind of a hop across the string here, is a fourth movement on a guitar. The next movement is not a fourth, but we're going to talk about why we do it this way here in 1 second. So from C to F sharp is not a fourth, but from F sharp to B is a fourth, and then from B to E is a fourth. Okay, so if I were to put this into numbers, which I think would be very helpful to do, this is a 2 minor chord. This is a 5 chord. This is a 1 chord. Again, the first part of this is kind of like we're in the key of G major. So it's 2 minor, 5, 1, 4, and now we're going to switch keys. So this in jazz language is typically called a minor 2-5-1. So we're going to have this target chord be E minor, like we're going to change our key center to the key of E minor instead of G major. Now, a lot of you might say, well, that's the same key. They have the same key signature, 1 sharp. And yes, that is true, but it is a bit different to have your tonal center, your key center, be a G than it is to be an E. And if we are transitioning to an E minor key center, it's really common in jazz and other styles to use what's called a minor 2-5-1 progression. So 2, F sharp being the second note in the key of E minor, 5, B being the fifth note in the key of E minor, and then to 1, which is our 1 minor chord here, E minor. So we've got a 2, 5, 1 in the key of G major, and then we've got a 2, 5, 1 in the key of E minor. And that pattern happens over and over and over in tunes that you've heard before. I'm sure there's something that sounds familiar about this pattern. And it's not just Autumn Leaves, it's lots and lots of songs. Almost any song that you might find in the real book or other jazz standards, the Great American Songbook, something like that. Lots of older songs use this type of pattern, but you know what? Lots of newer songs use it too because it sounds great and it just works, moving in fourths. And this is the major 2-5-1 and the minor 2-5-1, and this fourth movement that you can learn from the tune Autumn Leaves. All right, find this chord progression at guitarthinker.com. This is a lesson, and all of these diagrams are interactive. You can see the chord tones for every single one of these chords. You can see your finger positions for every single one of these chords. You can see the notes as you roll through. That's what we were just looking at. If you really hate this staff for whatever reason, you can hide it. You can just look at the fretboard if you want. I think it's really helpful to see both the staff and the fretboard at the same time to continue to help you build that correlation between the staff, which doesn't have to be so scary, and the fretboard, which ideally we're all trying to learn a little bit better every day. Okay, this is Autumn Leaves, and I will see you next time at guitarthinker.com.